Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to All Praise Picks. Hope you guys had a happy new year. It's going to be back on YouTube, posting about the NBA. Today, we have the San Antonio Spurs playing against the Denver Nuggets in Denver on January 3rd, 2025. So, currently, the Spurs are 17 and 16, which is 10th place in the Western Conference, and the Nuggets are 19 and 13, which is 4th place in the Western Conference. So, I have a few parlays for you guys in this game. I do lean towards the Nuggets winning this game, and they are favored currently by about 6.5 points to win the game. But all my parlays are on BetMGM. As always, I'll break down the lines, give you my thoughts, and hope if you tap in, we can all win. So this is the first parlay that I have at plus 130. Put half a unit on it. I have Chris Paul for 7 assists, as well as Wembanyama for 3 assists, and Jokic to score 25 points, and Murray for 15 points and to get 3 rebounds. Looking at Chris Paul, he has a pretty good assist matchup here versus the Nuggets. The Nuggets allow the third most assists to the point guard position over the last 15 games, and CP3 has gone over 7 assists in 7 out of his last 10 games. Also, in games that he's played over 30 minutes, he's gone over in 9 out of the last 10 games. So I do think that he has a good chance of playing over 30 minutes in this game, which should be pretty competitive up until the late fourth quarter. So I do like his chances for over 7 assists in this game. I also have Wemby for over 3 assists. He's gone over 3 assists in 4 out of his last 5 games, as well as 8 out of his last 10 games, and he has pretty good history versus the Nuggets. In his last 2 games versus the Nuggets, he had 5 and 8 assists, and I do think that he has a good chance of generating assists, especially if the Nuggets are focused on him defensively. They want to limit him from scoring the ball, which will lead to him passing the ball, likely to the 3-point line in the corners. And as long as his teammates are making the shots, he has a good chance for over 3 assists. I also like Jokic for over 25 points. He's had over 25 points in 8 out of his last 10 games, and he also has pretty good history versus the Spurs. Um, he's had over 25 points in 3 out of his last 4 games versus the Spurs, and in those games, he had 42 points, 31 points, and 39 points. And also, Aaron Gordon, he's injured, and in his last 4 games, with Aaron Gordon out, Jokic has gone over 25 points in 3 out of 4 of those games. And in the one game that he didn't go over, he had 23 points in his last game versus Atlanta. So I do like his chances of 25 points, especially with this great history versus San Antonio and playing against Wemby. I also have Jamal Murray for 15 points and 3 rebounds. So the Spurs are decent at limiting points to the point guard position over the last 15 games. They have given up the 7th fewest points to the position. But I think with Aaron Gordon out, Murray would just have increased offensive usage in this game and will probably just take more shots, which will increase his chances for scoring 15 points. He's gone over 15 points in the 4 games without Aaron Gordon recently, scoring 21, 20, 34, and 27 points versus some pretty good defenses, especially the Cavs. He scored 27 points, and the Pistons are decently good at defending point guards as well, and he scored 34 points in that game. I also do like his chances for over 15 points in this one, and I also like his chances for over 3 rebounds. In those 4 games that I mentioned without Gordon, he had over 3 rebounds in each of those games, and um, I think if this is a more defensive game, Murray will have a good chance of just being close to the basket and getting rebounds. So at plus 130, I put half a unit on this parlay, like I mentioned, for a potential return on investment of 130%. As always, have bankroll management and understanding of your finances when deciding to place these bets if you do decide to place it with me. So this is the next parlay that I have at plus 170. I put a little bit more than half a unit on this one for a pretty good payout at plus 170, like I mentioned. So in this one, I have Murray for over 20 points, Jokic for 7 assists, as well as 10 rebounds, and Wembanyama to have over 10 rebounds. So like I mentioned, even though the Spurs are good at limiting points to the point guard position over the last 15 games, I think that Murray will have a good chance of just taking more shots, and he's had over 20 points in the 4 games without Aaron Gordon. And also looking at his game logs versus the Spurs, he had a really good game in their last game versus the Spurs, scoring 35 points, and he took 26 shots in that game. Well, I don't think he'll take 26 shots in this game. Uh, Being at home does help. In the 2 games that he played versus the Spurs, with Wemby on the Spurs, they were both in San Antonio. So I think that the home crowd advantage uh, will probably energize him and lead for him to score over 20 points, or at least give him a better chance to score 20 points. I also like Jokic for over 7 assists. He's had over 8 assists in his last 4 games without Aaron Gordon, and he's gone over 7 assists in 2 out of the 4 games versus the Spurs. So with this play, especially with the assists and rebounds, I just consider that if Wemby is playing a good game defensively, it'll lead to Jokic um, needing to facilitate the ball more so than score the ball, which will lead to him having over 7 assists. And especially if Jamal Murray is able to make his shots, he likely will get at least 3 assists from just Jamal Murray making baskets. I like Jokic for over 10 rebounds in this parlay as well. He's had over 10 rebounds in 3 out of the 4 games. Um, without Aaron Gordon, and in the other game that he did not have over 10 rebounds, he had 9. Also versus the Spurs, he had pretty good rebounding games, um, getting 16 and 11 rebounds in 2 games versus the Spurs, and then 7 rebounds in the other 2 games that he played versus the Spurs with Wemby on the team. So I do like Jokic's chances for over 10 rebounds, especially if this is a game that they try to limit his offensive game from a scoring standpoint. Lastly, I have Wemby for over 10 rebounds. So the Nuggets allow the 6th most rebounds to the center position over the last 15 games. And like I mentioned, if this is a more defensive game, it'll lead to more potential rebounds, and Wemby will be the tallest player on the court. And I like his chances for over 10 rebounds as well. He's consistently gone over 7 rebounds in his games this season, and I think that for him to get over 10 rebounds, it'll just depend on him being close enough to the rim for defensive and offensive rebounds. But I do like his chances. Also, in his career versus Denver, he's had over 10 rebounds in 3 out of the 4 games. And then in the one game that he did not have over 10 rebounds, he had 9 rebounds. So I just think it was a pretty good value play, especially at plus 170, to put a little bit more than half a unit for a potential return of 170%. As always, have bankroll management and understanding of your finances when deciding to place these bets if you do decide to place it with me. So these next 2 parlays that I have at plus 145 and plus 160 consist of most of the same legs. So I have Wembanyama for over 25 points, 2 3-pointers made, as well as Chris Paul for over 7 assists, and then Michael Porter Jr. for over 5 rebounds. But the differences between these parlays is I have Westbrook on the left side for over 5 assists, and then Jamal Murray on the right side for over 5 assists. I do like Westbrook's chances for assists in this game, especially without Aaron Gordon. He's had a lot more playing time. He's had over 26 minutes in the 4 games without Aaron Gordon since his injury, and he's gone over 5 assists in each of those games. He's actually gone over 7 assists in each of those games, so he has a good assist potential, especially versus the Spurs. And I think as long as he has the playing time, he has good chances for over 5 assists. When it comes to Jamal Murray and his assists, he's had over 5 assists in 2 out of the 4 games without Aaron Gordon, but he got 10 assists and 11 assists in those games, and then he had 2 and 4 assists in the other 2 games. So it is more variable, and it is dependent on how aggressive he is offensively. But I do think he has a good chance of getting 5 assists, especially if he is more of a facilitator and Jokic takes on the role of being the offensive scorer. So I talked about pretty much all the other legs in this parlay except for Michael Porter Jr. So the Spurs give up the 5th most rebounds over the last 15 games to the power forward position, and I do like Michael Porter Jr. for over 5 rebounds, especially with Aaron Gordon not playing in this game. And as I mentioned before in this video, if it is a more defensive game, Porter will probably be one of the primary rebounders aside from Nikola Jokic for the Nuggets. So I do like his chances for over 5 rebounds in this game. So at plus 145 and plus 160, I put about 20% on the plus 145, and then a little bit less than half a unit on the plus 160. I put less on the Westbrook one just because I'm unsure of his playing time, especially when it comes to his offensive game. If he has a bad offensive game, he can kind of play himself off of the court. But I do think that Jamal Murray will have pretty good stability when it comes to how many minutes he plays. So I put a little bit more on the parlay on the right side rather than on the left side. But at plus 145 and plus 160, if you invest 1 unit on these parlays, you have 145 and 160% return on investment. Per usual, just have bankroll consciousness as I've shown in this slide, and have an understanding of your finances when deciding to place these bets if you decide to place it with me. So this is the last parlay that I have in this video. At plus 195, I put a little bit less than 30% of a unit on this parlay. And it's kind of just an accumulation of what I think will happen in the game. I do lean towards the Nuggets winning the game, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video. But in this parlay, I have Jamal Murray for 15 points as well as Michael Porter Jr. for 15 points. Both Porter and Murray to make 2 3-pointers, Jokic for 10 rebounds, and Wembanyama for over 3 assists, but also for the Nuggets to score over 115 points. Starting with Michael Porter Jr. for over 15 points, his offensive usage has increased greatly this season, but also without Aaron Gordon in the lineup. He's had over 18 points in the 4 games without Aaron Gordon since his injury, and he's also attempted at least 6 threes in those games, making at least 3 threes in those games, and he's made 5 threes in 3 out of the 4 games without Aaron Gordon since his injury. So I do like his chances for over 15 points and 2 made 3-pointers. And the same goes for Jamal Murray, like I mentioned before. His offensive game has increased without Aaron Gordon, and I do think that he has a good chance of making 2 3-pointers just because of his offensive play type as well. I did speak upon Nikola Jokic for over 10 rebounds early in this video, as well as Wembanyama for over 3 assists. But I do lean towards the Nuggets scoring over 115 points in this game. They play a lot better at home, and I think that their offense is much faster without Aaron Gordon on the floor. Um, Westbrook does like to push the pace, but the same is true for other role players that they have, like Christian Braun and Strother. So I do like their chances for over 115 points in this game. And at plus 195, I put um, a little bit less than 30% of a unit on that parlay just for bankroll management. But at plus 195, if you have uh, one unit on this parlay, it'd be 195% return on investment. Per usual, have bankroll consciousness, understanding of your finances when deciding to place these bets if you decide to place it with me. So those are parlays that I have for this Spurs versus Nuggets matchup. Be sure to like and comment on the video, as well as share and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more NBA and NFL videos coming out later this week. And until next time, peace.